The ice cracks and breaks apart, with massive chunks drifting into the frigid ocean. Winter is now 21 days shorter than it was 50 years ago. Polar bears, thin and exhausted, swim across vast stretches of open water, many never finding land again. Belugas lose their traditional migration routes, unable to withstand hunger as their food sources become increasingly scarce. The Arctic is changing faster than ever. Temperatures are rising by 1 degree Celsius every decade. Winter sea ice is shrinking at a rate of 70,000 square kilometers per year. Before we dive into what's happening, let us know where you're from. And now, welcome to Wild Arctic, the untold stories of survival in the ice. An endless expanse of white stretches to the horizon. Winds howl through jagged ice formations, carrying the chill of a world that is rapidly shrinking. In 2023, data from the US National Snow and Ice Data Center revealed that the Arctic's summer sea ice minimum covered only 4.23 million square kilometers, 40% lower than the average in the 1980s. This is one of the lowest levels ever recorded. The polar bear, the ruler of the Arctic, is losing its most crucial hunting ground, sea ice. Unlike other bear species, it cannot hunt effectively on land. It is a marine mammal, entirely dependent on ice to access its prey. No ice means no food. No food means no survival. In Hudson Bay, once a prime hunting ground for polar bears, the ice season is shrinking at an alarming rate. In the mid-20th century, sea ice would melt in June and freeze again by November. Today, the ice-free season has extended by more than 3 weeks. For a mother polar bear, this means fasting for even longer, facing more extreme exhaustion before she can hunt again. A mother polar bear gives birth in the harsh Arctic winter, where temperatures can drop to minus 40 degrees Celsius. For 8 months, she eats nothing, surviving solely on her stored fat and losing nearly 1 kilogram of fat every day as she nurses her cubs. When spring arrives, the mother bear must leave the den to find food. But the timing of her departure is a life or death decision. If she leaves too soon, her cubs may not be strong enough to keep up on the 160-kilometer journey to the sea ice. If she waits too long, she may not have enough energy left to hunt seals, the only food that can sustain her and her cubs. The Arctic is changing faster than anywhere else on the planet, and with it, the creatures that once ruled this land are now on the brink of extinction. Think you know everything about the Arctic? Get ready to be surprised by what comes next. Not confined by fixed boundaries, the Arctic expands and contracts with the rhythm of the seasons as sea ice spreads in winter and recedes in summer. The Arctic Ocean dominates much of this region, embracing vast sheets of perennial ice. Meanwhile, the subarctic taiga forests stretch far to the south, forming a transitional zone before meeting the sweeping tundra landscapes of Canada, Russia, Greenland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Iceland, and Alaska. This is a world where light and darkness take turns ruling the sky, a land of months without sunsets and winters engulfed in endless night. The most recognizable boundary of this region is the Arctic Circle, located at 66 degrees 33 minutes north latitude. This line marks the area where, at least one day each year, the sun never sets in summer and never rises in winter. The name Arctic originates from ancient Greek, derived from the word Arctikos, meaning near the bear, the north, and Arctos, meaning bear. This name may be linked to the constellations associated with the region, guiding sailors and explorers across the vast Arctic Ocean for centuries. In the northern celestial sphere, the constellation Ursa Major, or the Great Bear, shines brightly, leading adventurers through the ages. Nearby, Ursa Minor, the Little Bear, is home to Polaris, the North Star, which remains a steady beacon in the sky. From above, the Arctic stretches like an endless wilderness, where vast white ice sheets merge with the deep, uncharted ocean. If you could set foot in the Arctic just once in your lifetime, what would you most want to explore? Wherever it may be, it will look entirely different from the Arctic of the past. Millions of years ago, this region was once part of Pangaea, the massive supercontinent where all of Earth's land masses were still connected. As tectonic plates began shifting, Pangaea broke apart, dividing into smaller continents. Over time, the Arctic Ocean was formed, encircled by the vast land masses of North America, Europe, and Asia. The Brooks Range in Alaska rose as the North American and Pacific tectonic plates collided. Farther west, the Ural Mountains became the natural boundary between Europe and Asia, shaped by geological movements hundreds of millions of years ago. Meanwhile, ancient glaciers carved deep into the bedrock, forming spectacular fjords such as the Svalbard fjords in Norway, where towering cliffs stand guard over icy waters. For hundreds of thousands of years, Earth has gone through multiple ice ages, each lasting tens of thousands of years. Glaciers expanded and retreated with shifts in global climate, leaving their unmistakable imprint on the Arctic landscape. At one point, massive ice sheets covered nearly the entire northern hemisphere, exposing only a few isolated patches of land beneath the dim Arctic sun. As global temperatures warmed, the ice receded, revealing vast tundra plains, ancient glacial river systems, and remnants of prehistoric lakes that have persisted for millions of years. During the Cretaceous period, approximately 145 to 66 million years ago, the Arctic had a much milder climate. Lush forests thrived, rivers meandered across vast plains, and dinosaurs roamed the land. Traces of this ancient world are preserved in fossils of numerous dinosaur species that once lived in the far north. In regions that were once coastal areas of the western interior seaway, a vast inland sea that divided North America during the Cretaceous, dinosaurs such as Chasmosaurus, Hypacrosaurus, Troodon, and Edmontosaurus adapted to the resource-rich environment during the short Arctic summers. As winter arrived, bringing months of darkness, these dinosaurs may have migrated south in search of warmer lands with more food. A similar pattern likely occurred in the southern hemisphere, where Muttaburrasaurus of Australia may have undertaken seasonal migrations to escape the cold of ancient Antarctica. However, not all dinosaurs migrated. Fossil evidence suggests that some species may have lived year-round in the Arctic. Near the Colville River in what is now Alaska, at 70 degrees north latitude, fossils have been discovered in an area that 70 million years ago was located even farther 10 degrees north than it is today. These fossils include bones and teeth from various dinosaur species, including Pachyrhinosaurus, a horned dinosaur that once roamed the ancient Arctic. Discoveries in recent years continue to reveal new insights into the prehistoric Arctic. Paleontologists have uncovered fossilized footprints and remnants of ancient ecosystems buried deep within Arctic sedimentary rock. Some studies suggest that, beyond dinosaurs, this region was once home to prehistoric marine reptiles such as plesiosaurs and ichthyosaurs, which swam in the cold but unfrozen seas of the ancient Arctic. For thousands of years, beyond the realm of ancient creatures and cold-adapted wildlife, humans have also ventured into the Arctic, building their lives in one of the harshest environments on Earth. The Inuit are among the oldest indigenous communities of the Arctic. They are descendants of the Thule culture, a civilization that emerged approximately 4,000 years ago. The iconic igloo, with its dome-like structure and ability to retain heat, was a remarkable innovation that allowed the Inuit to survive nights as cold as -40 degrees Celsius. Deep in Siberia, the Nenets and Chukchi people have maintained their nomadic lifestyles for generations. Their chum tents, similar to those of the Sami people, can be quickly assembled or dismantled, allowing them to migrate to new grazing lands. During the brutal winter months, when temperatures drop below -50 degrees Celsius, they rely on reindeer fat and frozen fish to sustain their energy. In the summer, as the snow melts, they follow their reindeer herds to expansive grasslands, where food is abundant enough to support the herd through the next winter. Beneath the Arctic's barren exterior of snow and ice, life flourishes in astonishing ways, with species that have evolved extraordinary adaptations to survive in extreme conditions. Life here is not randomly distributed, but rather follows short bursts of seasonal growth, capitalizing on the long summer daylight before winter's unforgiving return. While Arctic plant life is not as diverse as in temperate or tropical forests, an estimated 1,700 species have adapted to endure extreme cold and nutrient-poor soils. Flowering plants, low shrubs, herbs, mosses and lichens grow close to the ground, absorbing warmth from the thin layer of soil while avoiding the relentless Arctic winds. Autumn arrives in the Arctic faster than the eye can perceive. The light softens, stretching across the sky in gentle hues of gold and amber. Sunsets linger for hours, painting the icy landscape in shades of copper and violet, reflecting over frosted lakes before fading into the night. At this moment, the tundra transforms into a breathtaking natural masterpiece. The low grasses, mosses, and lichens shed their vibrant green, shifting into deep reds, burnt oranges, and brilliant golds before being buried beneath the coming snow. These are the final days before the land turns into a vast, white expanse for months on end. Beneath the Arctic sky, herds of animals sense the seasonal shift. Some prepare for migration, while others adapt in remarkable ways to survive the coming winter. In northern Canada, within Wapusk National Park, vast herds of caribou embark on one of the greatest migrations on Earth. Thousands of caribou traverse the expansive tundra, journeying over 400 kilometers south in search of grazing lands before snow blankets their path. This migration has endured for thousands of years, yet it has never been easy. The Arctic tundra has no physical barriers, but nature always tests its travelers. Ice, biting winds, freezing rivers, and ever-watchful predators stand in their way. Every step is a race against time. Caribou have evolved remarkable adaptations to conquer these extreme conditions. Their elongated snouts are specially structured to warm incoming air before it reaches their lungs, minimizing heat loss and preserving energy. Their wide hooves act like natural snowshoes, helping them move across icy terrain without sinking into soft snow. When necessary, they use their hooves to dig through thick snow in search of lichen, one of the few remaining nutrient sources in winter. Farther north, in Scandinavia, caribou, known there as reindeer, are the lifeblood of an ancient culture. The Sami people, indigenous inhabitants of the Arctic, have followed these migrating herds for millennia. Over time, they domesticated reindeer, relying on them for meat, milk, and hides, essential resources for survival in the Arctic's harsh climate. As winter arrives, they travel by sleds pulled by reindeer, gliding across snow-covered taiga forests and vast tundra landscapes. Meanwhile, wild caribou continue their southward trek, pushing through frost-covered lands. The young calves stay close to their mothers, learning how to cross frozen rivers and listen for the wind, which carries the telltale scent of wolves. These silent predators are the tundra's most patient hunters, and one of the greatest challenges the caribou must face. Survival in the Arctic is not for the slow. The thick, double-layered fur of the Arctic wolf retains heat even as temperatures plunge to minus 50 degrees Celsius. Its long, powerful legs, covered with dense fur on its paws, allow it to move effortlessly across the snow without sinking. These wolves can travel up to 200 kilometers in a single day, tracking caribou herds, stalking their prey like ghosts of the ice. The Arctic wolf pack patiently follows the caribou, waiting for any sign of weakness. A straying calf, an elder lagging behind, any hint of exhaustion can become a death sentence. Each wolf pack consists of 5 to 11 individuals operating under strict hierarchy. A dominant breeding pair leads the hunt and defends the territory. Under the fading Arctic autumn light, howls echo across the tundra, a summons from the pack, a signal that the hunt is near. They move in a coordinated arc surrounding their prey, cutting off escape routes. The chase begins. The wolves do not rush, nor do they waste energy. They run just fast enough to relentlessly press their prey, just enough to wear it down. When the decisive moment arrives, a precise lunge, a bite to the throat, and everything is over in an instant. The feast follows an unbreakable order. The alpha eats first, ensuring it has the strength to maintain the pack's hierarchy. The others wait for their turn, from the loyal subordinates to the young wolves taking their first steps into the wild. Not a single scrap goes to waste. But in recent years, this ancient balance is being challenged. Climate change is accelerating ice melt, disrupting the migration patterns of the caribou. The hunting season has become increasingly unpredictable. A 2023 study from the University of Alberta found that Arctic wolves' hunting success rate has dropped by 12% over the past 2 decades due to shifting migration patterns of their prey. Meanwhile, traditional hunting grounds are disappearing, forcing Arctic wolves to expand their territory, competing with other predators for survival. Farther east, in Dovrefjell National Park, Norway, the only place in Europe where visitors can witness wild muskoxen in their natural habitat. Under the faint autumn sun, these massive creatures move slowly through the frozen valleys, carrying with them the breath of an ancient era. Holding their ground on the tundra is instinctual survival for this prehistoric species. More than 10,000 years ago, when glaciers covered most of the northern hemisphere, muskoxen roamed alongside giants like mammoths and saber-toothed cats. But while those colossal species vanished, the muskox endured, perfectly adapted to the long, brutal winters. Their outer coat, reaching up to 10 centimeters in length, acts as a natural armor, shielding them from bone-chilling Arctic winds. Beneath it, a layer of kiviot, a downy undercoat lighter than sheep's wool yet 8 times warmer, provides insulation even in -40°C temperatures. When the cold deepens, muskoxen stand in tight formations, backs turned outward, forming a living fortress against the onslaught of blizzards. When the ground freezes solid, they use their wide hooves, natural snowshoes, to dig through the ice in search of rare lichens and mosses. Beyond the cold, predators are always watching. Arctic wolves move with the wind, shadowing the muskox herd, waiting for a moment of weakness. When faced with danger, the herd does not flee. Instead, they form a protective circle, with the strongest adults standing at the perimeter, lowering their horns, eyes locked onto the threat. At the center, the calves remain fully shielded. This age-old strategy has allowed muskoxen to survive for millennia, capable of fending off even the most formidable predators. Autumn sweeps across the Arctic boreal forest, stretching from the southern edge of the Arctic Circle to the subarctic regions of North America, Europe, and Siberia. The spruce, pine, and larch forests, once deep green throughout the summer, begin their transformation. The larch trees, one of the rare deciduous conifers, turn a brilliant gold. Birch and aspen create striking patches of orange and red, standing out against the evergreen backdrop. As the light fades and temperatures drop from 5°C to -5°C, this color shift marks the transition between seasons, revealing an intricate biological process within the plant life. The chlorophyll that gives leaves their green hue gradually breaks down, allowing carotenoids and anthocyanins to emerge, creating the brilliant autumn colors before the leaves fall onto the frozen ground. Forest trails, now covered in a golden carpet of fallen leaves, lead to wildlife observation areas. In Canada, national parks become prime destinations for photography enthusiasts. Wood Buffalo National Park hosts vast wetland ecosystems, attracting numerous bird species and large mammals. In Denali National Park, Alaska, snow-dusted peaks rise above the autumn landscape, creating a breathtaking contrast of crimson, gold, and white. Through the thinning canopy, a massive figure moves slowly across the shallow streams. The moose, the silent giant of the north, is entering the harshest season of the year. As the largest deer species on Earth, a moose can stand up to 2.1 meters tall at the shoulder and weigh over 700 kilograms. Males carry enormous antlers, spanning up to 2 meters, which play a crucial role in the fierce autumn mating competition. Under the pale, frost-laden sky, mature bulls enter rut, the brutal breeding season. Deep roars echo through the forests, signaling the battles to come. When two bull moose meet, they charge, locking their massive antlers like ancient warriors. These clashes can last for hours, and only the strongest earns the right to mate with the waiting females at the edge of the forest. Frost settles in thin layers on the black spruce, signaling the closing days of autumn in the Arctic boreal forest. The silence is broken only by the heavy footsteps moving through the damp moss. A dark shadow glides swiftly between the tree trunks, powerful muscles rippling beneath its thick, dark brown fur. This is the wolverine, a solitary hunter and one of the North's most formidable predators. The wolverine is a lone warrior, roaming the taiga forests, hunting anything it can find. With no fixed territory and no pack to rely on, it can travel up to 200 kilometers in a single day. It wanders through desolate taiga landscapes, leaving faint tracks on the moist forest floor. But when prey is scarce, it does not hesitate to scavenge from larger predators. Its powerful jaws allow it to crush even the thickest bones. Unlike the gray wolf, which often leaves behind hard bones after a meal, the wolverine uses everything. Bone marrow, rich in fat and nutrients, is a crucial energy source that helps it survive the long winter. The ability to store food is its key to survival. When it finds a carcass, it does not consume it all at once, but drags large chunks of meat into rock crevices or buries them deep beneath the snow. The cold temperatures act as a natural freezer, preserving its food for months, ensuring that when blizzards strike, it still has something to rely on. The last light of the day stretches over the black spruce and balsam poplar. A chill seeps through the soft earth, signaling that winter is drawing near. The shift of seasons is deeply felt in the rhythms of one of the tundra's apex predators, the grizzly bear. Instinct drives it to seek out food, not for immediate hunger, but for the long winter ahead. In the coming weeks, it will need to consume more than at any other time of the year. A fully grown adult may take in over 20,000 calories a day, an astounding figure for any land mammal. The fat, rich flesh of salmon is the grizzly bear's most prized food source during this period. These lipids are quickly converted into stored energy, ensuring its survival through the harsh Arctic winter. But salmon is not the only resource. On land, blueberry, cranberry and cloudberry bushes reach their peak ripeness, offering a natural sugar feast that helps boost the bear's body mass. With each passing day, the grizzly bear's fat stores grow, and its body weight increases by nearly 180 kilograms compared to summer. This is essential preparation for torpor, a survival strategy lasting for months, where the bear's heart rate slows and its body functions entirely on stored energy. Without sufficient fat reserves, the cost of failure is fatal. Far offshore, cold winds begin to spread, signaling the unstoppable shift of seasons. Temperatures drop rapidly and the water stills beneath the biting cold. On the horizon, the autumn light stretches, reflecting off drifting icebergs, turning them into colossal crystals shimmering in the vast ocean. This is a crucial signal for Arctic wildlife. Sea ice begins its slow but steady expansion. New ice forms on the surface, crystallizing into the essential foundation of the Arctic ecosystem. As the sea ice spreads, it triggers the return of migrating species. Marine creatures that have spent the summer in open waters, where food is plentiful, now move northward, seeking sea ice for shelter and hunting grounds. Some species are entirely dependent on the ice for survival. They rely on thick ice to rest after long hunts, to breed, and to evade predators lurking in the freezing depths. For adventurers, autumn on the Arctic Ocean is the perfect time to explore. Icebreaker expeditions offer rare access to one of the most untouched places on Earth. From the deck of a ship, travelers can witness massive icebergs, each with its own unique form, drifting silently beneath the soft glow of the autumn sunset. Beneath the surface, the ecosystem continues its delicate dance. As the sea ice thickens, sunlight filters through cracks in the ice, stimulating the growth of sea ice algae, tiny marine plants thriving beneath the frozen surface. These algae serve as the essential food source for zooplankton, forming the first link in the Arctic's intricate food chain. The expansion of sea ice means an abundance of food, drawing back fish, marine mammals, and seabirds to the Arctic waters. Beneath the still waters, the grey whale, the wanderer of the ocean, begins the longest migration of any mammal. Their journey spans 10,000 to 12,000 kilometers, carrying them from the icy waters of the Chukchi Sea and Bering Sea, along the Gulf of Alaska, down the North American coastline, and finally to the warm lagoons of Baja California, Mexico. This is not just a race against time. It is a fight for survival. The adult whales, especially pregnant females, lead the migration, while juveniles and males follow behind. If they depart too early, they risk depleting their food supply. If they leave too late, ice may block their path, trapping them in nutrient-poor waters. In the first days of migration, grey whales can still feed on the last available resources in areas like Hudson Bay, Canada. Their primary food source is benthic amphipods, tiny creatures buried beneath the seafloor sediment. Unlike other whales that filter food from open water, grey whales use a unique feeding method. They roll onto their sides, suction mud from the ocean floor, and filter out small prey through their baleen plates. The long trails etched into the seabed are all that remain of their final feast before departure. By December, the first whales reach Baja California, where calm lagoons like Laguna San Ignacio become their final destination. Here, mothers give birth in protected waters, free from most predators. Newborn calves drink the energy-rich milk of their mothers, building strength for the return journey north in the spring. Winter finally envelops the Arctic, plunging the frozen landscape into a world of silence and harshness. The long autumn days have vanished, replaced by almost eternal darkness. With no sunlight to melt the snow or warm the ground, the entire region is locked in bone-chilling cold. Anything unadapted will not survive. In the Arctic mountain ranges, temperatures can plunge to -50 degrees Celsius, cold enough for breath to freeze instantly upon leaving the mouth. Sheer cliff faces, now cloaked in early season snow, form endless white walls stretching to the horizon. When blizzards sweep through, the howling winds tear across the mountains, lifting thick layers of snow and obliterating visibility. The faint winter sunlight glides over glaciers, revealing the deep blue hues trapped beneath ancient ice. In the valleys, glacial rivers wind through the terrain like massive frozen serpents, flowing so slowly they seem motionless, carving into the bedrock over thousands of years. This is a land reserved for only the most resilient. On the steep mountain slopes where no predator dares to venture, the Dall sheep holds its ground. They have evolved to withstand the harshest conditions, surviving as their ancestors have for thousands of years. Beneath their thick white coat, measuring up to 8 centimeters, their bodies retain enough heat to endure the bitter cold. Their fur not only insulates them, but also provides perfect camouflage against the snow, hiding them from predators lurking below. But the Dall sheep's greatest survival tool is not its fur, it's its sharp, specialized hooves. These uniquely structured hooves, with a hard outer rim and a soft, grippy interior, allow them to cling to sheer rock faces, even on slippery, ice-covered terrain. When the ground is completely buried in snow, only exposed mountain peaks offer any chance of finding food. These rare patches of grass, untouched by the snow, are accessible only to the Dall sheep. Instead of migrating, they remain in the mountains, adapting to winter by conserving energy. Rather than wandering aimlessly in search of food, they move deliberately, choosing rugged terrain for shelter and venturing out only when necessary. The dried grasses of summer, now buried beneath the snow, become their sole lifeline. They must dig through the snow layer by layer, searching for the smallest remnants of vegetation. When the winds rise, they cluster in small groups, turning their faces into the wind to minimize heat loss, carefully rationing their energy in the brutal Arctic cold. In winter, sea ice expands, linking drifting icebergs together into an endless frozen kingdom. Massive ice flows gradually merge, forming a thick, unbroken ice sheet that stretches millions of square kilometers. No more waves crash against the shore, and no ocean currents disturb the surface. Only faint cracks remain where seawater seeps through, freezing instantly in the bone-chilling cold. The entire ocean seems to hold its breath, but beneath the steel-hard ice, a hidden world continues to thrive. The Inuit, the indigenous people of the Arctic, are masters of survival on the sea ice. They use umiaks, light but sturdy boats, to navigate open waters in summer, hunting beluga whales and narwhals. When winter arrives, seal hunting becomes the key to survival. Using traditional harpoons, they wait for hours, sometimes days, for a ringed seal to surface at a breathing hole in the ice. A precise strike brings not just food, but also fur, hides and blubber, essential for warmth, tools and light through the long, dark Arctic nights. Winter tightens its grip on the Arctic sea ice, covering the ocean in an endless white expanse stretching to the horizon. Icebergs merge, forming a frozen landscape where the polar bear, the ruler of the Arctic, begins its relentless struggle for survival. Under the dim winter sun, places like the Svalbard archipelago, Norway, become ideal locations to observe polar bears in the wild. Farther west, in Churchill, Canada, known as the polar bear capital of the world, hundreds of bears gather along the Hudson Bay coastline, waiting for the sea ice to return and the hunt to begin. The cold does not deter a species born to conquer the Arctic. A massive body, weighing up to 600 kilograms, covered in a double-layered fur coat and a 10-centimeter thick layer of fat, keeps them warm even in freezing waters. Their broad paws act as natural snowshoes, allowing them to walk effortlessly over fragile ice. But the ice is more than just a hunting platform. It serves as shelter, a battleground, and the key to survival. As the sea freezes, polar bears wait by seal breathing holes, ambushing ringed seals. The thick blubber of seals provides the critical energy polar bears need to endure the long Arctic winter. During periods of scarce food, polar bears adapt. Some scavenge whale carcasses washed ashore. Others follow muskox or young caribou, seizing rare land hunting opportunities. Swimming is an essential part of their survival. As ice fragments, polar bears must navigate drifting ice floes, sometimes swimming hundreds of kilometers to find solid ground. One recorded bear swam 700 kilometers over 9 days, stopping only on small ice patches whenever possible. Their thick, fat layer keeps them buoyant, while their powerful forelimbs act as paddles, propelling them through frigid Arctic waters. But not all survive the journey. Young or elderly bears may succumb to exhaustion before reaching stable ice. Winter is not just hunting season, it is also a crucial time for expectant mothers. They leave the sea ice, digging snow dens along coastal regions or remote islands. After an 8-month gestation, their cubs are born, usually as twins. At birth, polar bear cubs weigh just 600 grams, small, fragile, and nearly hairless. Yet, within the warmth of the snow den, shielded from the Arctic winds and predators, they thrive on their mother's fat-rich milk, which contains up to 31% lipids, the highest of any mammal. Deep beneath the ocean, where darkness lingers for months and the surface freezes into thick ice, a relentless predator moves in silence. The orca, ruler of the sea, does not retreat before the harsh Arctic winter. Beneath the thick ice, orcas rely on a powerful weapon, echolocation. With limited visibility in the frigid waters, they emit high-frequency sound waves, listening for the returning echoes to pinpoint prey. This ability allows them to detect seals hidden beneath the ice or schools of fish moving in the deep. As the largest member of the Delphinidae family, orcas possess exceptional intelligence and a highly complex social structure. Unlike solitary marine hunters, they form pods, where multiple generations live, hunt, and pass down knowledge. The Arctic winter is not just a challenge, it is an opportunity. As sea ice expands, seals become stranded on isolated ice floes, making them perfect targets. Orcas do not rely solely on strength. They use sophisticated hunting techniques to outmaneuver their prey. One of their most astonishing methods is wave washing, creating waves to knock seals off the ice. When they spot a lone seal on a fragile ice sheet, the pod works together, swimming in formation to generate powerful waves. With relentless pressure, the ice cracks, leaving the seal without refuge. One moment of imbalance, and the seal falls into the water, where the hunters await. Another, even more daring tactic, shore hunting. Some pods have developed the ability to surge onto land, using their massive bodies to snatch seals from beaches or ice edges. This high-risk technique demands absolute precision. One miscalculation could leave the orca stranded. Young orcas spend years observing and practicing before mastering these advanced hunting skills. They learn from older pod members, repeating movements over and over until they achieve perfection. So, who is the true ruler of the Arctic, the polar bear or the orca? Pick your side in the comments. Winter in the Arctic has transformed isolated islands into frozen fortresses adrift in the vast, desolate ocean. Biting winds sweep across the barren landscapes, lifting snowflakes into the air, forming glittering white spirals under the rare winter sunlight. Winter in the Arctic archipelagos offers a once-in-a-lifetime experience for those seeking extraordinary adventures. Icebreaker expeditions carry travelers into frozen waters, where they can witness massive icebergs drifting silently across the frigid sea. In Svalbard, traditional wooden cabins provide warm shelter, while outside, the frozen world continues its harsh, unyielding rhythm. On the sheer cliffs of Svalbard, seabirds like the little auk and thick-billed murre hold their ground. They search for patches of open water where fish and plankton still thrive beneath the ice. Meanwhile, some species migrate south, escaping the brutal Arctic cold. Those that remain, like the glaucous gull, continue to soar over the dark waters, ever watchful for any chance to seize survival. On the rugged, rocky beaches, herds of walrus lie pressed tightly together. Their thick skin forms a massive, living windbreak, shielding them from the biting Arctic winter cold. The one-ton bodies of the adult males appear motionless, with only their slow, misty breaths visible in the frigid air. The history of this species has witnessed severe population decline. During the 18th and 19th centuries, walrus were hunted extensively for their energy-rich blubber and valuable ivory tusks. Populations plummeted to critical levels, but 20th century bans on commercial hunting have allowed them to recover. Despite their slow, lumbering appearance, walrus have remarkable defensive abilities. Their tusks, growing over 1 meter long, are not only weapons in mating battles, but also serve as protection against predators like polar bears and orcas. These tusks also help them haul themselves onto floating ice and maintain breathing holes in thick sea ice, ensuring they can continue diving for food, even when the ocean is sealed by ice. Walrus feed by diving to the seafloor, using their highly sensitive whiskers to locate bivalve mollusks, shellfish like clams and mussels. They consume thousands per day, storing energy to endure long Arctic storms. Their 10-centimeter thick blubber layer not only provides insulation, but also acts as a critical energy reserve when hunting conditions become difficult. In the waters surrounding the Svalbard archipelago, Norway, the bowhead whale continues its journey through the dark Arctic seas. This is one of the rare places where they can be observed alongside the fin whale, the second largest whale species on Earth. As light filters through fractured ice, powerful exhalations rise into the air, creating a surreal spectacle against the winter sky. With a lifespan exceeding 200 years, the bowhead whale is one of the longest living mammals on the planet. Some individuals have been found carrying harpoon tips from the 19th century, a grim reminder of the whaling era that once pushed this species to the brink of extinction. Unlike most whale species, the bowhead whale can live year-round in the Arctic without needing to migrate south to escape the cold. It can dive for up to 40 minutes, navigating the icy depths in search of plankton-rich waters. Its blubber layer, measuring up to 50 centimeters thick, the thickest of any whale species, provides insulation and energy reserves, protecting it from rapid heat loss in the frozen ocean. The bowhead's massive skull, with dense, reinforced bone, allows it to break through sea ice up to 30 centimeters thick, ensuring access to breathing holes, even when the ocean's surface is sealed by ice. Winter in the Arctic reaches its peak. Darkness engulfs the land, stretching for months, turning the frozen world into a near motionless realm. The sun vanishes from the horizon, leaving behind endless nights. Food becomes a precious commodity, so rare that every hunt can determine survival. Some animals enter hibernation, avoiding the harshest months. The Arctic ground squirrel is the only mammal capable of lowering its body temperature below freezing, reaching -2.9 degrees Celsius. The woolly bear caterpillar, an Arctic insect, completely freezes its body, remaining inactive throughout the long winter. Other species remain active, relying on remarkable survival strategies. The ptarmigan, an iconic Arctic bird, grows extra feathers on its legs and beak, providing insulation that allows it to endure extreme cold without migrating south. Meanwhile, the snow bunting remains, enduring the harsh Arctic winter with its remarkable adaptations. Its multi-layered feathers provide superior insulation, forming a natural barrier against heat loss. Its metabolic rate can increase by 50%, generating enough warmth to withstand the biting Arctic winds. This small yet resilient bird does not just survive. It remains active, even when temperatures plunge below -40 degrees Celsius. The snow bunting is one of the few birds that continues to sing even in sub-zero temperatures, a biological remnant from the Ice Age. Its song is not just for communication. It helps maintain bonds with mates and assert territory, even when everything else around is frozen in silence. On the sheer cliffs of gates of the Arctic National Park, Alaska, the Arctic fox uses its sharp claws to grip the slick ice, maintaining its balance even as fierce winds shake the rock face. Beneath the thick snow, lemmings, tiny rodents, move through their warm tunnels, hidden from sight. Everything seems invisible, but the Arctic fox's hearing is unmatched. Its sharp ears tilt toward a single point, detecting the faintest footsteps, the quiet gnawing of lemmings beneath the snow. When the moment is right, it leaps straight up, stretching forward, diving headfirst into the snow like an arrow piercing through the frozen air. A perfect strike, securing a much-needed meal for survival. Scarce prey is not enough to sustain the long Arctic winter. When a hunt is successful, the Arctic fox does not eat everything at once. Instead, it buries excess food in underground caches, a meat vault that ensures survival during leaner times. Some foxes hunt up to 90 lemmings per day, consuming only what is necessary, while the rest is carefully stored for the future. But lemmings are not always plentiful. When food runs scarce, the Arctic fox follows larger predators, tracking the polar bear, waiting for an opportunity to scavenge leftover scraps. Some individuals travel over 1,600 kilometers in winter in search of food. According to the Norwegian Polar Institute in 2023, one Arctic fox was recorded journeying from Svalbard, Norway, across the Arctic Ocean, reaching Canada in just 76 days, the longest migration ever recorded in a mammal. The cold cannot penetrate the thick 10-centimeter fur that envelops its body. This is one of the most efficient insulation systems in the animal kingdom. Two protective layers, a dense, soft undercoat and a longer protective outer layer, trap heat, preventing warmth from escaping, allowing the Arctic fox to survive even at the harshest peak of winter. But cold has never been its greatest threat. Now, the footprints in the snow no longer belong to the small fox alone. A larger, stronger predator has arrived. The red fox, once a resident of the southern taiga forests, is now expanding northward, crossing the barriers that ice and snow once maintained. Since 1971, Arctic temperatures have risen by over 3 degrees Celsius, warming at twice the rate of the rest of the planet. Winters are no longer as harsh, and permafrost is retreating daily. This shift allows the red fox to push deeper into territories it had never occupied before. Not only is it arriving, but it is establishing new territory, disrupting an ecological balance that has existed for thousands of years. This invasion has forced the Arctic fox into a one-sided battle for survival. Weighing only 2.5 to 4.5 kilograms, the Arctic fox is dwarfed by the red fox, which can weigh up to 8.7 kilograms. In direct territorial conflicts, the stronger predator always wins. The rich hunting grounds full of lemmings, an essential winter food source, are now dominated by the red fox. For the Arctic fox, only empty snowfields remain. The competition goes beyond food. Red foxes are also stealing shelter. Surveillance cameras in Alaska, Canada, and Siberia have recorded red foxes chasing Arctic foxes out of dens, taking over the safe refuges that protect them from blizzards. Some studies have even documented red foxes killing Arctic foxes, not just for competition, but as a direct food source when prey becomes scarce. The red fox's arrival is one of the clearest signs that the Arctic is no longer what it once was. This predator does not need to adapt to the Arctic. Instead, the Arctic is changing to accommodate it. Climate change is not just melting ice, it is reshaping ecosystems, forcing unwanted migrations, and triggering brutal survival battles. With a new predator in the Arctic, the original inhabitants must choose, fight, retreat, or disappear forever from this land. Not only the red fox, but climate change is also allowing the great grey owl to expand farther north into colder territories than ever before. This mysterious predator known as the Phantom of the North, perches silently on a barren branch. Its piercing yellow eyes cut through the frozen darkness, scanning for the slightest movement on the ice-covered ground. Beneath 30 centimeters of snow, tiny lemmings remain hidden. They weave a maze of tunnels completely isolated from the outside world. But every movement leaves a trace of sound, a scratching paw, a racing heartbeat sensing danger. The great gray owl does not miss a single sound. Its unique skull structure and distinctive facial discs act like a precision sound amplifier, detecting and pinpointing the exact location of its prey. In a flash, it dives down. With a 1.5-meter wingspan, it glides through the air in absolute silence. The serrated edges of its feathers reduce flight noise, making it the perfect silent assassin. As it reaches its target, its powerful talons pierce through the hard snow, striking with pinpoint accuracy. The lemming has no chance to escape, but the great gray owl is not the only predator on this tundra. The snowy owl, the iconic Arctic hunter, also targets the same prey. Once the undisputed ruler of Arctic skies, the snowy owl now faces competition from a new, silent shadow in the snow. As winters grow harsher, territorial clashes between these two formidable hunters are becoming more intense. Stay focused. You're about to witness one of the Arctic's most brutal survival battles. Each winter, the snowy owl faces a crucial decision: stay or leave. Unlike most migratory birds, the snowy owl does not always leave the Arctic. They can endure fierce snowstorms, but if snowfall becomes too deep, burying entire hunting grounds, their instinct drives them south. Some travel over 2,500 kilometers, reaching Scandinavia or temperate regions in search of new food sources. But even for those that migrate, the journey is not easy. The Arctic sky is not just cold, it is relentless, and every choice carries risks. Staying means facing a brutal hunting season. Thick snow blankets the tundra, concealing the lemmings, the snowy owl's primary prey. Its sharp vision is not enough to locate prey beneath deep snow, but its exceptional hearing allows it to detect the faintest movement. A precise strike can pierce through the snow, ending the hunt in an instant. But what happens when lemmings become scarce? For years, the lemming's natural population cycle, which booms every 4 years, has become increasingly unstable. Climate change is disrupting the Arctic ecosystem, making the snowy owl's primary food source more unpredictable. With fewer lemmings, young snowy owls face starvation. A single owlet requires at least 4 lemmings per day to survive. During abundant years, a breeding pair can raise to 11 chicks. But when prey numbers decline, only the strongest owlets will survive. Male snowy owls, tasked with hunting for the brood, must fly farther and search longer. But many return empty-clawed. A failed hunt means less food, and the competition only grows fiercer with the arrival of new predators. In nature's harshest moments, there is no tolerance for weakness. When an owlet is too weak to continue, it becomes food for the others. A cruel yet necessary law, ensuring that the strongest survive. The weak will fall, so the strong may endure. High above, a streak of light flashes. as if someone has unfurled a ribbon of silk across the black Arctic sky. The aurora borealis begins its dance. Swirling green, purple, pink, and red lights ripple across the heavens, appearing for a fleeting moment before vanishing, only to re-emerge in ever-changing forms. This is not the magic of a supernatural force, but the result of a powerful physical process between Earth and the Sun. When charged particles from solar winds collide with Earth's atmosphere at altitudes of 80 to 300 kilometers, they excite gas atoms, causing them to glow. Oxygen produces green and red hues, while nitrogen contributes to deep blues and purples. Have you ever witnessed the aurora borealis? If given the chance, would you travel to the Arctic to see it in person? Places like Tromsø in Norway, Fairbanks in Alaska, and Yellowknife in Canada attract travelers from around the world, drawn by the allure of this celestial phenomenon. Some Inuit legends tell of the dancing spirits of their ancestors, while scientists see only the beauty of physics at work. Researchers study the aurora to better understand Earth's magnetic field and how it responds to changes in solar activity. Geomagnetic storms caused by solar winds can disrupt satellites and global communication systems. Yet, in the Arctic, it is simply a breathtaking spectacle, unfolding in the absolute silence of the polar night. Beneath the vivid sky, the silent heroes of the Arctic continue their endless survival journey. The Arctic night grows shorter. The first rays of light flicker on the horizon, signaling a profound shift. Silent glaciers begin to crack, forming long fractures across the sea ice, where the dark ocean waits for its moment to rise once more. The white snow blanket covering the tundra starts to melt, revealing lichen and Arctic moss, awakening after months buried beneath the ice. Inside self-dug dens along mountain cliffs and beneath fallen trees, the grizzly bear slowly awakens. The males are the first to emerge, lumbering across the snow-covered ground, remnants of the past winter still lingering. The fat reserves that once sustained them have dwindled significantly. Now, as they step into the open, hunger drives them forward with unrelenting intensity. There is no time to hesitate. The spring sun begins to unveil carcasses buried beneath the snow for months. A rare feast, but with their keen sense of smell, grizzlies can track down the scent of decaying meat, making use of any available protein source. When meat is scarce, they dig through the softened earth, searching for roots, fresh sprouts, or any emerging vegetation. A little later, the females begin to appear. Their young cubs, only a few months old, stumble clumsily across the melting ice, following closely behind their mothers. They trail after food sources, moving toward meadows where plant life awakens. In the quiet forests, blueberry bushes begin to sprout, promising a summer filled with nourishment. Above, the gyrfalcon, the largest raptor of the Arctic, begins surveying its territory from the snow-capped peaks. Its piercing yellow eyes scan the vast tundra, searching for the slightest movement. Spring marks the season of reclaiming territory, where only the strongest birds secure the richest hunting grounds. With a wingspan of up to 1.3 meters, it glides effortlessly over the snowy ridges, riding thermal currents to conserve energy. Below, an Arctic hare emerges from its snowy burrow, hesitating as it sniffs the air, sensing the southern winds of spring. In a lightning-fast dive, the Gerfalcon reaches speeds of up to 200 kilometers per hour. The final strike is almost silent. In a fraction of a second, the prey lies motionless, its white fur blending with the lichen-covered snow. On the Arctic coastal plain, the thinning ice reveals deep blue streaks of water weaving through the remaining patches of snow. Sunlight reflects off newly formed meltwater ponds, transforming the landscape into vast wetlands. Millions of migratory birds from South America, Europe, and Asia arrive along the Arctic coastline. Flocks of snow geese blanket the sky, moving in perfect formations before descending onto riverbanks. The red knot, after a journey spanning tens of thousands of kilometers from the tropics, rushes to coastal mudflats, feeding on insects and mollusks. This is a breeding paradise for hundreds of bird species, where they raise the next generation before embarking once again on their great migration south. Specialized eco-tours bring visitors to this expansive wilderness, where they can witness endless flocks filling the sky, watch caribou crossing rivers, or spot grizzly bears emerging from their dens after months of hibernation. Walking through the tundra, listening to the vibrant calls of wildlife, or even paddling along newly thawed rivers are unforgettable Arctic experiences. On the remaining ice floes, hundreds of walruses jostle for space to rest after their deep dives. Their thick, wrinkled skin, glowing in dark brown hues, contrasts sharply with the melting white ice beneath them. Beneath the surface, young walruses take their first solo dives, learning to navigate the depths in search of food. Mastering diving and foraging is no easy task. The young watch the adults closely, mimicking how to locate prey and using their tusks to grip the ice when they need to rest. Survival here demands more than strength. It requires skill, passed down through generations. As winter quietly retreats from the Arctic sea ice, delicate fractures begin to appear on the ice's surface. Sunlight pierces through the thinning ice, awakening an ecosystem poised for renewal after months of deep freeze. Beneath the ice, sea ice algae, tiny but essential microorganisms, begin to flourish. Clinging to the underside of the ice, they form golden brown layers, serving as the first link in the Arctic food chain. The subtle yet powerful shifts of spring on the Arctic sea ice are most vividly experienced aboard icebreaker expeditions. These ships navigate the melting ice, carrying scientists and explorers closer to an ever-changing frozen world. Those lucky enough may witness a polar bear in action, seizing a rare hunting opportunity in this transforming landscape. At this moment, the polar bear enters the most critical phase of the year. For the first time, newborn cubs step out of their snow dens, having never seen the Arctic's bright light, nor felt the ice beneath their paws. Yet, instinct drives them forward, urging them to stay close to their mother, learning how to move, track prey, and develop the skills needed for survival. After months of relying on stored fat, polar bears must take advantage of the remaining sea ice to hunt ringed seals. With a keen sense of smell, capable of detecting prey from 32 kilometers away, the polar bear moves in silence, each heavy step deliberate on the frozen surface. It waits, patient, motionless, like an ice formation, until the perfect moment to strike. Large males can use their sheer strength to break through the ice, dragging ringed seals from their hiding spots. But mothers with cubs must conserve energy. When the opportunity arises, they strike decisively. their razor-sharp claws piercing the thick seal hide. Success means survival, but failure means prolonged hunger. For 2.5 years, polar bear cubs rely on their mother to teach them how to survive the harsh Arctic landscape. But not all cubs will make it to adulthood. The melting sea ice each year forces polar bears into a survival race. Mothers must travel farther to find suitable hunting grounds. Cubs that are too slow or weakened by the long journey may succumb to hunger or exhaustion. With the ice season shrinking, hunting opportunities vanish, forcing weaker bears to scavenge carcasses or search for food on land, where survival is far more uncertain. The sun hangs low on the horizon, casting a soft golden glow that lingers throughout the night. The midnight sun transforms the Arctic into an eerie world where darkness nearly ceases to exist. Pale green streaks spread across the cold tundra, signaling that summer has arrived. What happens during this season will determine the rate of summer ice melt, the amount of carbon released from permafrost, and the future of species that depend on this extreme cycle. Satellite data from 2023 reveals that spring sea ice has been shrinking by an average of 70,000 square kilometers per year since the 1980s. This is the clearest indicator of Arctic amplification, where temperatures in the Arctic rise twice as fast as the global average. As ice sheets thin, the natural shield protecting the Arctic Ocean begins to fade. No longer a solid barrier covering the Arctic Ocean, sea ice fractures, exposing dark ocean waters that reflect the brilliant low-hanging sun. These expanding open waters absorb more heat, accelerating the melting process even further. Beneath the surface, sea ice algae loses its habitat, leading to the decline of zooplankton, a crucial link in the Arctic food chain. On land, permafrost begins to thaw, revealing muddy landscapes and shallow meltwater lakes. As it melts, permafrost not only reshapes the terrain, but also releases vast amounts of carbon dioxide and methane, two potent greenhouse gases driving climate change. According to NOAA's 2024 report, the Arctic tundra is now emitting more carbon than it absorbs, marking a reversal of one of Earth's most crucial carbon sinks. Yet, even in the face of transformation, life finds a way to adapt. On the Arctic tundra, the brief summer warmth awakens lichen and fresh grasses, painting a lush green carpet over the once frozen Earth. Beneath the vast sky, muskoxen move in small herds, weaving through the endless plains, searching for precious nourishment before winter returns. Their thick winter coats begin to shed, revealing a lighter layer of fur, better suited for the warmer season. The young calves, born in early spring, have grown stronger, staying close to their mothers as they learn to forage. They watch the adults, studying how they use their sharp hooves to scrape away soft earth, uncovering nutrient-rich sprouts hidden beneath the tundra's surface. But summer is not only a season of abundance, it is also the most challenging time for mature bulls. The rut begins, bringing intense battles for dominance. The strongest bulls have spent spring building strength, preparing for clashes that can last for hours. When rivals meet, they snarl and shake their heads, issuing threatening displays before charging at full speed, up to 60 kilometers per hour. The collision echoes across the plains as their thick skulls absorb the tremendous impact. The victor gains the right to lead and protect the herd, while the defeated bull is forced to leave, wandering alone, waiting for another chance or fading into solitude. In the Franz Josef Land archipelago, a remote chain of 191 ice-covered islands lies a frozen wilderness at the northernmost edge of Russia, deep in the frigid Arctic Ocean, a place where few human footprints have ever touched. Icebreaker ships navigate through this untamed landscape, offering a rare chance to witness whales, seals, and breathtaking polar scenery. From Svalbard, Norway to Murmansk, Russia, these expeditions embark on journeys into the heart of the Arctic, where small expedition boats weave through icy waters, providing an intimate glimpse into a world still untouched by human dominance. As the sea ice retreats, a hidden world awakens. Cold ocean currents carry shoals of small fish, drawing the attention of Arctic predators. Now, the icy waters of the Arctic Ocean transform into a theater of dramatic hunts, where the struggle for survival unfolds in stunning intensity. Summer in the Franz Josef Land archipelago, Russia, stretches on without night. The sun hovers low on the horizon, casting a gentle glow over the drifting ice. As the ice gradually melts, it reveals dark waters below, where beluga whales begin their seasonal journey. Gliding through the frigid Arctic waters, their pure white bodies move gracefully in synchronized pods, releasing haunting calls that echo through the ocean. Belugas are the most vocal whales in the Arctic, storytellers of the sea, communicating through a rich symphony of sounds. They do not just use sound for social interaction, they navigate and locate prey through echolocation, their biological sonar allowing them to see through murky depths, detecting even the slightest movements beneath the waves. Beneath the chilled waters, Arctic cod and crustaceans form their primary diet. Belugas skillfully weave through ice channels, hunting in the deep ocean shadows. But summer is more than a time for feeding. It is also the season of new life. After 14 to 15 months of pregnancy, expectant mothers seek out shallower waters to give birth, where calmer currents help protect their newborns from strong tides and lurking predators. Newborn beluga calves emerge in shades of gray or deep brown, a stark contrast to the pure white of adults. This darker coloration provides better camouflage in the dim Arctic waters, shielding them from orcas, their most formidable predator. At birth, calves are entirely dependent on their mothers. They swim closely alongside, learning to regulate their breath and master the use of echolocation to understand their surroundings. Summer also marks a time of movement. Some beluga pods migrate between saltwater and freshwater, venturing into river estuaries in search of abundant food, while avoiding deep-sea hunting grounds where orcas lie in ambush. With climate change reshaping the Arctic, beluga populations are shifting further north, seeking more stable ice coverage and escaping warming waters driven by Arctic amplification. In the coastal waters, ringed seals seek refuge on the last remaining ice floes. But here, they become the prime targets of the ocean's most intelligent hunters. Summer in the Arctic unveils vast open waters, allowing orcas to expand their hunting range. Their sleek black dorsal fins cut through the icy sea, standing out against the frigid waters. Moving in tight-knit family pods, they patrol the open ocean, seizing the opportunity created by the melting ice. The disappearance of ice does not just alter the landscape, it disrupts the entire Arctic food web. Mature orcas can hunt even beluga whales and narwhals. With no ice barriers for protection, these whales are forced to cross open waters, where orcas can easily pursue them. An orca pod can coordinate hunts for hours, forcing prey into exhaustion before delivering the final strike. Their resonant underwater calls allow them to communicate, strategize, and share information about prey movements. A sophisticated hunting network, far surpassing any other marine predator. As the undisputed rulers of the Arctic Ocean, orcas face no natural enemies, but they are not immune to the threats created by humans. Recent studies reveal that Arctic killer whales have the highest levels of toxic contamination of any marine species. Polychlorinated biphenyls, industrial pollutants banned in the 1970s, still linger in the food chain. As orcas hunt seals and smaller whales, these toxins accumulate in their bodies. These chemicals weaken immune systems and disrupt reproduction, pushing many orca populations toward decline. The melting ice does more than expand orca hunting grounds. It also invites human intrusion. Oil exploration and increasing Arctic shipping routes carve through once frozen waters, disrupting whale habitats. Collisions between ships and orcas are becoming more frequent, threatening the ocean's most intelligent predator. As sea ice continues to shrink and human activity advances deeper into the Arctic, the future of orcas is no longer a simple cycle of abundant hunting seasons. Their dominance at the top of the food chain is now a battle not just against prey, but against the shifting forces of an ecosystem they have ruled for millennia. Climate change in the Arctic is no longer just a natural phenomenon, it is an unstoppable spiral. Data from the National Snow and Ice Data Center shows that Arctic sea ice melts a full month earlier each year, drastically shortening the hunting season for polar bears. Permafrost, the once permanent frozen ground, is thawing at an unprecedented rate. A 2024 study by the Russian Academy of Sciences reveals that over 150 billion tons of carbon are being released from permafrost annually, fueling the greenhouse effect and making the Arctic warm faster than anywhere else on Earth. Arctic amplification, the phenomenon where temperatures in the Arctic rise twice as fast as the global average, is reshaping the entire region. What do you think is the greatest threat to the Arctic? Climate change? Resource extraction? Human encroachment? Regardless of the answer, one truth remains. The Arctic is changing, bringing irreversible consequences. The survivors must adapt, but can evolution keep pace with the relentless speed of these transformations? Amidst the growing challenges of climate change, the urgency to conserve the Arctic ecosystem has never been greater. Governments and environmental organizations are now deploying wildlife conservation bonds, encouraging private investors to support long-term conservation initiatives. At the same time, national biodiversity conservation plans for 2021 to 2030 have been established, providing a strong legal foundation for wildlife protection efforts in the Arctic. Notably, species protection programs have been reinforced, implementing strict regulations to safeguard polar bears, walruses, and other vulnerable species while cracking down on illegal hunting. Collaboration with organizations like WWF, UNEP, and ACB has accelerated scientific research on species populations, leading to more effective conservation strategies. To combat illegal wildlife trade, advanced monitoring and surveillance technologies have been deployed, helping track and prevent activities that threaten Arctic biodiversity. Yet, protecting the Arctic is not just the responsibility of organizations, it is a duty for every individual. Reducing carbon emissions by using renewable energy, minimizing plastic consumption, supporting conservation projects, or simply raising awareness about climate change can all make a difference. By supporting environmental organizations and participating in global efforts to reduce human impact, we can help safeguard Arctic wildlife. Let's take action today to preserve the Arctic's fragile beauty. And if you've ever had the chance to visit the frozen Arctic, don't hesitate to share your insights and experiences in the comments below. Your story could inspire others to join the fight for conservation, ensuring that future generations can witness the wonders of Arctic wildlife. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to follow us on more extraordinary adventures. Or continue exploring wildlife survival stories in the Antarctica. Survival in the realm of giants or wild Yellowstone. Ruthless predators and majestic wilderness.